Hey you guys, good morning. It's 'Cause We Can Farms. I'm Heather.
I'm Kimmie.
And today's video is not a normal type of video for us. So a lot of you have probably already seen the video that Pure Living for Life put out on cyberbullying.
It's a topic we're pretty passionate about because bullying is just a terrible thing in general.
Okay, you guys, there's probably going to be a lot of jump cuts in this video because we are sharing our thoughts, and there's some things that we want to say and there's some things that we don't want to say. And so we'll be cutting those things out. But this is going to be a limited edited video. And as you can see, we're on our build site. This is our spray foam installation. So if you're new to this channel, we'd like to welcome you to subscribe. We're actually building a shipping container tiny house up here in northern Idaho. So we are actually neighbors of Pure Living for Life. And when I say neighbors, I mean North Idaho and this community up here.
Yeah.
You don't live on their street.
No.
So a little bit about us, for those of you that are new. We are best friends from the military. We've been best friends since we were 19 years old. And this year I turned 50.
And we still like each other.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We were military police officers. So we do have a law enforcement background. And if you hear the little pitter patter of feet, that is the corgi, and I'm just sorry. I apologize. We'll do the best to keep her laying down, but she is inside here running around. We want to discuss the actual act of cyberbullying and just how awful it is. And I feel like that's what they were wanting us to do anyway. I do want to give a little bit of background. I started watching their particular channel when they were really, really new. I think the first one was when Alyssa sold her car, her pretty fancy car, in order for them to try to be debt free and do this build. And their channel was actually a big inspiration for me in wanting to, one, YouTube and two, actually take this journey on. Now, they're young. I wish I would have done it in my 30s, but I waited until my late 40s and now early 50s to do this. So I am a disabled veteran. We are not debt free. We are just building as we go and as money comes in. So our channel isn't moving super fast.
I personally have not watched them. This video on cyberbullying was the first video that I've watched, and really it took me, it shocked me. It's something that going through something like that is a terrible thing for anybody, and I just wanted to be part of speaking out about this. And I will give some more, share some more of my thoughts on this on my channel, Waking Up Country. So after you're done watching this, go on over and check that out. And
there'll be a link in the description. So click down there and get over to her channel and subscribe if you haven't, and watch her video. You know, I'd have to say that the bullying and the hateful comments and the mean comments were definitely the one thing that caused me pause about even starting a channel to begin with, because I remember watching them go through that process. Like I said, I watched from the very beginning, and it was really sad I enjoyed their content. I felt like they were giving knowledge that they themselves learning, and they were trying to share as much of it as possible. And then you just started seeing really hateful things coming out. Now, I never went and looked at the Facebook groups. I did hear about them. Again, with my law enforcement and background, I do know that cloning is an issue, and someone can clone your Facebook channel your Facebook page and then spew all kinds of things. I mean, my grandmother passed away this last early summer, and I'm still getting things sent from her, so, which we know hers has been cloned. Do I believe that there was a Facebook group that was targeting this particular channel? Yeah, because I was seeing it and I was hearing about it and those kinds of things. But do I know who was actually in charge of that? No. So, you know, the one thing that I do know is that with cyberbullying, which happens in high schools and it's happening through the teen communities, and there's suicides and there's all kinds of things going on with that legally they are putting things in play. So, I mean, I would highly recommend, if this is something that you're participating in, that you quit, because you will be found out. And the coolest thing about YouTube and TV in general, if you don't like that person, if you don't like what that person stands for, their political beliefs, their religious beliefs, you know, whether they're blonde or redhead or brunette, I mean,
you don't like how they talk,
any of those things, you can click off. You don't have to watch them. And now you guys get to hear how loud it is in a shipping container because it's kind of starting to rain a little bit. And I think that's the biggest thing where I was just so blown away with the fact that people are going to take the energy and all of that to attack somebody when they could just click off the channel. Was it jealousy that was pushing that? Was it, you know, I don't know. I do have to say, so some of the things that I did see was that people were angry that they purchased an airplane. But I also remember, and I could be wrong in this, but I also remember that Jesse sold a rental house in Washington to pay for that plane. So, you know, this whole thing of you're making all this money off of YouTube and you're buying planes and we're mad at you for that. Like, we're going to give you our particular story because as far as making money on YouTube, we're a small channel. This is a small channel. Kimmie's still working on getting monetized. It took me almost 2 years to get monetized. So all of the work that goes involved with learning how to do it, figuring out how the algorithm works, figuring out how to film. We do not do drone shots. We own drones. We don't do drone shots because we're in a fight pattern. So we can't really do that particularly here, but
paying for editing, paying for music licensing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that go on behind the scene that you don't get reimbursed for.
And having to think about lighting and, you know, am I going to get out of my pajamas today to do that job? And you have to. So there's like all this work that goes into doing this, I'm going to say side hustle, because it is a side hustle until people decide that they like you and they want to watch your content and they subscribe, and then this is the biggest thing that I think that when you're watching a YouTube channel and you've committed to that channel and you're watching in them and you feel like you know them, you feel like you know everything about them. Now, we're really real on our channel. I feel like most YouTubers are.
Not saying that other people aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people are, but how someone chooses to do their channel is just how they choose to do their channel. We are roughing it. I would love to have a building that had regular electricity in it. And if that was an option and I could afford to do it, I possibly might do it, because being comfortable and doing this kind of build is a really big deal. We're exhausted. We're trying to, you know, still stay positive, and we just went through this polar freeze thing that happened, and you know, we're almost out of firewood. Like, there's all kinds of things that you're dealing with. But whether or not a channel does that, what difference does it make? This is entertainment. I was very inspired by their channel. I really wanted to do a timber frame. Since then, I've decided not to. I'm going to do probably a pole barn. But if something inspires you, if something encourages you to get up and step out of your comfort zone, that's really all I feel like the homesteading channels want to do.
I feel like there's been some people that have been saying they're mad because they omitted sharing parts of their life. And honestly, we omit things. There is some dirty things that come with homesteading that nobody wants to see, nobody needs to see. And there's some things that are just privacy. Right. You know, we omit certain things for a reason, and that's just for security purposes as well.
And speaking on that, we did have someone come up, a subscriber come up and visit us, because she grew up in this area, so she kind of knew based on where we live, where the footage was shown, things that we've shown, where we were at. And I have to say, lovely lady, her daughter was beautiful.
We enjoyed meeting her. But that being said, that moment when you've realized, and we were filming at the time, someone has pulled up. I am a disabled veteran with PTSD. We are Desert Storm veterans. And
that gut reaction of I'm not safe happens.
And that lasted for a long time.
It really, really did. Because we actually had a couple of things happen real close together with that, with somebody just walking up. One happened to be a neighbor. Another one happened to be just accidentally in the area.
People looking for land.
For land and that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it all kinds of adds together. And that was just a tiny blip of comparison to what Jesse and Alyssa were going through with having to put up cameras to see who's driving by because they're getting death threats and all of those things, which really truly is domestic terrorism if you look up the definition, as long as those people are here in the United States that are doing it.
And I feel like from that incident that happened, the person that came up, and from that moment on, and I mean that we already are pretty good about watching security and stuff, but we have the name on the back of the truck. And now I'm hypersensitive when I turn onto the street to make sure that nobody's following. And if somebody's following, I go along a roundabout and past the house because I am so concerned about that. So my heart goes out to somebody that feels like their privacy is constantly being invaded.
And I know that because of what happened to Pure Living for Life, I purposely purchased property that was not on a main road, which cost more.
Right.
So, you know, it's why I'm not debt free right now, because that was a concern, because I knew that I wanted to YouTube. And my purpose of YouTubing was my grandfather built houses and I have grandchildren, and man, would I have loved to watch videos of my grandfather building those houses. And so it was just that byproduct. If the channel takes off and makes money and does those things, that's wonderful, and we can build a legacy. But regardless of that, when you don't really know them, you don't really know the people in the channel as much as you feel like you do when you're sitting in your living room and you're watching them every day. And we kind of, as subscribers may get that little bit of entitlement of, oh, I watch them every day. Like, I've been supporting them this whole time. It's no big deal for me to drive by their house. It's no big deal for me to take someone who's coming and visiting by their house. To be honest with you, I've never looked up where they live because, again, law enforcement background, and mama, grandmother, female. I can't imagine how a husband would feel about being able to protect his baby and his wife and those things. Like, I just couldn't imagine how that would be such a primal fear for a husband that his wife and his child are in that position.
And for a mom who's protecting her children. She's pregnant and she's getting all of these things. I can't imagine going through that. I
do have a story. It's not cyberbullying, but it's bullying in a bit. It's before all this came on. So I got out of the military. My husband is a veteran. He's deceased. And it's, as a single parent, it was 3 or 4 years later, I decided to start dating, and I went out a couple of times with somebody and then made the decision that that person was not somebody that I wanted to date. He called CPS on me, and I was just so terrified that I was developing property at the time. I had a mobile home put on there. I was on grid, all those things, but it was this, I had a dog shred trash in the yard, and you know, you just can't get all the little bits and pieces picked up. But I'm like, they're going to take my government's going to take my child because I have little bits of trash. And I'm literally sobbing in the front yard, trying to pick these pieces. And my neighbor came over and was like, what is going on? And I'm in full panic mode. Just that thought of, I don't understand. You don't have children if you are calling CPS on somebody who has kids, because
so we can totally empathize.
Yeah. So, you know, and earlier this year, I made a video on another YouTuber. I had been doing dog training videos on my channel, as far as for homesteading, but also service dog, because my dog's a service dog. And my subscribers asked for it. So it was kind of this Wednesday video that we decided to put out. And they were asking me what were my thoughts about him and what's happening with his dog because his dog had killed a bird. Now, I used to watch that channel. When he got the puppy, I quit watching the channel because as a behavior specialist, it was really difficult for me to see things. And I'm yelling at the TV, don't do that, do this different, whatever. And so I just quit watching because I just didn't want to feel that way. It just wasn't fun for me anymore. I knew too much. As I'm sure all of you contractors that watch us build are freaking out.
Exactly.
So, I get it. If some people don't want to watch us because we hammer different or
we're learning as we go.
I used the wrong drill. Like, I've heard that one. I'm using the wrong drill. And through that video, which he actually contacted me and we had a conversation, a very good conversation, and he agreed with my assessment. I feel like I was very fair in that. I heard that a lot.
You told him good things and things that he was doing right and things he was doing wrong.
Well, the breeder of that particular dog reached out, and my heart just breaks for her because what has happened to Pure Simple Living is happening to her. She's had death threats. She's fully cyberbullied. People are emailing her. They are putting vicious things on her website. She's had to shut down the comments section. She's had to...
It's affecting her livelihood, right?
Yes, yeah. It affects her livelihood.
And your mental...
Yes.
Like, I just can't even imagine.
I was able to talk to her for a very long time on the phone. I used to breed German Shepherds, train dogs for the police departments, for the military, sold dogs to the military. So I understood the things that, as a breeder, what you do to put these dogs out there. Yes, there are backyard breeders. Big difference between backyard breeders, puppy mills, and actual breeders who are breeding to better the breed, kind of thing. So there's just so much information that people don't have, and then they have an opinion on it because their favorite YouTuber has said something.
We also got bullying from that.
We did.
That video.
Yeah.
And not necessarily as bad, but we got a lot of hate.
We did.
And we know that YouTubers said, don't do this.
Yes.
But, people still did it.
They feel like they're taking up the flag and running for you, or the sword and running for you to protect you as the YouTuber. And
bullying is not okay.
It's not. In any form or fashion.
No.
The extent threatening someone's life, threatening their children's life, any of those things. And I don't care what that person may or may have not have done. You don't get to assume that they've done something. I do know that a few YouTubers, local YouTubers, were shown in their video. Mike and Liz are actually friends of ours. They've been on our channel. Mike helped us cut the hole for our chimney. So we know them. I would absolutely be flabbergasted. Pretty good judge of character if they did anything vicious.
Yeah.
Or with evil intent.
Yeah. And they themselves are getting now cyberbullied,
right.
Which
it's
a vicious cycle.
You guys, it's not only that it's not okay, it's illegal. It's illegal. You are breaking the law. You may feel like you're doing this great thing because they said or did something to your favorite channel, but what you're doing is you are breaking the law. You are crossing the line. If you don't like, or if you assume, which we all know what happens when we assume, that those channels that were shown were actively involved, here's what I'm choosing to assume until I know otherwise. Yeah. This is what I get to do as a subscriber, as another person who is not in the middle of this. I get to assume that there's a possibility that a Facebook page was cloned. Okay. I get to assume that there's a misunderstanding. I get to assume that my friends have friends and family that live in that area. They grew up here. They were born and raised here, and that they are driving down that road because they're going to visit people. this is a small area. So the fact is I've lived in the country my whole life, and for entertainment, you actually go drive around and look at other people's places. I've actively
just drive down back roads. Let's see what's down here.
Yeah, totally a thing. I have actually went around looking for old farms to see how they did their layouts, so that I could look at how to lay out my farm. So it was a very non-threatening reason to be just kind of tooling around and driving by slow. So I'm going to assume those things until, and again, this is actually none of my business, but until proven otherwise.
And that being said, the clip that was shown was a really benign clip, and you know, and without having the whole context. As YouTubers, and we do lives, and people ask you questions, and it's, you know, we try not to be rude, and we try not to ignore a question. Right. And so, you know, if you're just simply asking, yeah, there was a rumor about this. You're answering a question. Yeah. And that's what it looked like to me that they were saying. So
exactly the exact same thing. So, you know, and when you have a celebrity YouTuber, and this was something that Alyssa talked about, is they have that celebrity fame without the celebrity pocketbook and having, you know, security and all of that kind of stuff. Right. That's a real thing. People are going to ask, especially because they just disappeared. And I personally myself was really sad. Like, I really enjoyed waking up. I scheduled my day on, okay, I was babysitting my grandkids at the time. I got to get them fed. We got to get ready because I'm going to be turning this on and we're going to watch it. And then they were gone. It's very understandable why they were gone. But we want to wrap this up because we don't want it to be a super long video. You guys, people are going to get caught. There are laws in place. This is domestic terrorism, in my opinion, and defamation of character. That is illegal, and you could be held responsible, and you should be held responsible. So just don't do it. Don't participate in it. Don't let that, what do they call it? Mob mentality, wrap you in or whatever. Use your brain. You know, look at what's happening to teenagers in high school with the cyberbullying. People die, people commit suicide. You just don't know where someone is with their day. So our advice, which is what we give, is don't do it, and be kind. Yeah. Be kind to people. And sometimes the kindest thing that you can do is just not watch their channel. And if it's going to wrap you up into a negative space, just click off. I think every one of us YouTubers, that's what we would want you to do. So
our stance is we are definitely against it. And, you know, this is now the month of cyberbullying and making awareness.
Yeah, which I think is a really important thing. I think any of us in law enforcement would agree with that, either who are currently in law enforcement or were in law enforcement. Nobody deserves to be bullied. If somebody's done something to break the law, that's why we have a judicial system, and that's why there is laws in place. Let the system do what the system is supposed to do. I do know that Pure Simple Living is putting a bunch of links. We will link their channel underneath here. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch it. If you are being bullied, I recommend you get on their thing so that you can maybe get some help.
Find those resources.
Because I know the breeder was talking about how expensive it was going to be to chase these people and find these people, and that they were just going to try to sit tight and ride it out. And that, to me, is the saddest thing. Years of your life being stolen from you.
Just remember, you know, the things you say can cause a ripple effect, whether that's a negative or a positive. It will affect everybody throughout that day because of the way your thoughts are that day.
Exactly.
Don't be that person.
All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you have not subscribed, please do follow our journey. Help us out in things that you may see us doing wrong, because we are definitely learning while we go. And make sure you go check out Kimmie's channel,
Waking Up Country.
And she's going to put a video out over there.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.